Hi everyone, welcome back to Dr. Nora. Now we've just seen our accountant who gave us some super good tips that I want to share with you today. And I'm going to introduce to you my business manager who's with me at the meeting. Ash, come and say hi.
Hello.
So we've got some fantastic tips that we want to share with you all to help you for your next tax year.
Alright, okay. So the first thing that I wanted to tell you guys out there might be useful for you. Are you PSI or PSB? I did the online form on behalf of Dr. Nora, and for me, I got us to be PSB, and the critical factor for that is, do you have exclusive use of a room or an office space at where you work?
Yeah, so where I work currently is a medical centre with my name on the room, and I'm the only one who uses that room.
So that one, ran it past the accountant, he said, yep, that makes sense, so you are PSB. There are pros and cons to being PSB and PSI. The pros of being a PSB is that it's just standard tax routine. You have your expenses and you have your income. For PSI, there's a bit more strict rules as what your expenses can be. For example, you can't claim rent, you can't hire your partner to do secretarial work, that kind of stuff. So for us, we're PSB. However, do the online form, the government form, and see what it comes out to you, and you can submit that to the ATO. Run it past an accountant to be double sure.
And we'll post the link down below as well, so you know which form we're talking about.
Alright, the second most important thing that we wanted to run past, because we've been hearing a lot of hearsay, and this is about pre-ABN expenses. So we set up Nora's ABN in the beginning of April.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of costs actually incurred before April. One could be the AHPRA RACGP registration. Two is the GMC costs over in the UK, which is being a general practitioner in the UK. And three is the visa application, the 457. Could that go down as expense? So we heard people that are doing everything, they're trying to get everything through, but it turned out
that visa is a no-no. So the only expenses you can claim are the expenses that are going to help you to make money. So visa is a no-no, but AHPRA and RACGP before your ABN was filed is a yes. GMC and expenses in the UK is a no also. So if you have done your RACGP or your AHPRA before you filed your ABN, that's completely fine, because those are fees that you're going to be using towards making you money in the future. Okay, the next thing on our list is a car. Now we bought a car which was a brand new car, and we heard loads of mixed reviews about how much GST you could claim back, and we wanted to get it from the horse's mouth, from the accountant, to know what the deal was with the car.
yeah, so you can claim 100% of the GST back from the car, which is a relief because that's a good chunk of money. You do keep a car logbook to know every single time you use the car for a non-day-to-day work trip.
Yeah.
So you can't actually claim mileage for going to your normal place of work. You can only claim mileage if you're doing, for example, a house visit, or if you're going to training events, CBD events, anything work related. It could even be work related to the point of, just say you had to buy some supplies for the office and you had to run out at lunchtime, get the car, drive it somewhere and drive back. That's completely okay.
Just make sure you write down all of your mileage so you can collate it in your final Excel
spreadsheet.
Actually,
I never actually used the logbook to know all the journeys you took. What I used was the official ATO app. So the actual app that the Australian Tax Office has, it has a My Deductions section in which you can actually log every single time you use the car.
Brilliant.
We just logged the start mileage of when we started the journey and the end mileage, and we wrote a description as to where we went. So for example, we went from Gold Coast to Brisbane,
for a
location.
CPR event, for example, or CPD,
And because you have your start mileage at the beginning, and after 12 weeks for your logbook, you have your end mileage, you can calculate how much of the miles you used for work and how much of the miles you used for leisure. And of course, we bundled all this logbook and we passed it over to the accountant, who's going to double check and make sure that all the trips we took were valid. Any queries, they're going to run it past us and let us know. So it's always good to have a second fiddle.
Definitely is. Definitely is.
All right, next up is marketing expense. So as a doctor and as an independent contractor, you only get paid when you see a patient. So you need to get the word out there that you are here and you're a reasonable doctor
Yeah, and you can do that through various platforms. For example, you can have your Facebook channel, you can have a YouTube channel, you can have a Twitter channel, but of course, maybe somebody needs to look after those channels for you. And also, perhaps you want to make videos, and there may be a cost to those videos as well, which is where my perfect business manager comes into play, who has been helping me a lot with the social media side of things.
Yeah, so you can claim expenses on buying a camera, you can claim expenses for having a website built, you can claim expenses for hiring a marketing firm to manage your social media presence. Although note, if you are hiring your partner to do work for you, marketing expense, if you are on PSI, of course, you can't hire a partner to do secretarial work, but if they're, for example, skilled in IT or website design, you can hire them to do that. However, make sure, if you're a partner, that this is your business, so you're not just making websites for your partner, you're not just making marketing campaigns for your partner, it should be at most 80% of your business. So get other clients and charge a market rate.
Yeah, and of course your partner will then have to do their own tax file return for their own self as well.
But that being said, if it's your first 3 months and you haven't earned more than, I think, 18k, you can do a claim form. And the accountants actually said they do it for us as well.
Which is free of charge.
Yeah, free of charge and for free, yeah, pretty good people. And the claim form basically says that you haven't really started working yet. You've made a bit of money here and there, but you haven't earned more than the threshold amount. Yeah. So you don't have to take it easy.
Yeah. You don't have to do your tax return. It's fantastic.
All right, the next thing on the agenda is home office. So initially we didn't put our rent down for expenses. However, after talking to the accountant, he said you can actually claim part of the rent as part of the home office expense, because we were a bit confused about PSI and PSB. With PSI, you can't claim the rent for where you're working at home, but for PSB, apparently you can. Of course, we're going to run it past the accountant to double check. So he, even though we never had it in our Excel spreadsheet, or our spreadsheet, he just took the notes down and he said he'll adjust it for us. This home office expenses also includes anything to do with your work from home. So you do a lot of courses and a lot of training at home.
Online e-learning,
And that all comes to needing, you need a phone, you need broadband, you need, if you don't have a laptop. We were lucky, we had, maybe we were unlucky, but we had, you can get a laptop claimed as an expense. So anything to do with your home office equipment,
you can claim it back on tax as a percentage.
Yeah, as a percentage. So our percentage is around 15 to 20%, and you can calculate the percentages. You can eyeball it, but the way we did it, we have a 2-bedroom flat. One of the bedrooms is dedicated to be Nora's office, and that's where she works out of. So you can do the square meters of the room versus the actual apartment, they said.
Yeah. But he did say that 15-20% is very, very reasonable. He has seen obviously more than that.
Yeah, a lot more.
15-20%, if it's your first tax file, go safe rather than getting audited.
Well, run it past your accountant, see what they say, and just explain to them what you do at home. When we do a lot of work at home, I'm always working and she's always studying by contrast. So home office expenses, so 20% of your mobile bill, that kind of stuff, you'll get a tax break on that.
Yeah.
Next up was getting paid. So the invoices you get from work has a breakdown of how much you've charged patients this 2-week period, and it also has a breakdown on how much you pay the practice for their percentage and the GST fees they charge. For the first 3 months, you was on a guaranteed income, so there was no GST payback for that. However, in the next few months, that's obviously going to change. While it's always good to take notes on how much your daily billings are, as the practice will be filing their taxes to the ATO, and you'll be filing your taxes to the ATO, they're going to cross-reference anything. So if there's any figures which are out of place, the accountant said he's going to handle that for us. So you don't need to be as meticulous as the ATO website tells you, where you need to note down every single patient you've seen every single day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, that's what he said.
He did.
You can just pretty much give the invoices as they are, and everything will get cross-referenced for you to enjoy.
And obviously if you're working at more than one practice, you have to give all of the information for all of those practices.
That's where it gets a bit more complicated.
It's a bit tricky with that front.
All right, you tired yet?
We're almost there.
So with your super, we applied for a super mainly to cover, well, first to get the ball rolling on a retirement fund, and also with some super packages, the one with Vic Super, they also give the option to opt in for insurance.
Yeah.
So we were a bit confused about, does our payment, is it still eligible for a tax deduction? In which case they send you a form and you need to fill out how much you paid, and anything to do with life and death insurance isn't eligible for a tax deduction. So what we were initially doing was what we paid to our super minus any expenses that went towards the life insurance.
Yeah.
That's our tax deduction. However, we talked to the accountant, he said no. And everything you pay to the super, that's what you claim as a tax deduction. And this isn't a tax deduction as in the form that you're filing to the ATO. This is just a deductions form that the super account sends you every July at the end of the financial year to fill out.
Yeah. And just a word of warning with the supers, depending on who you're going with, really make sure that you're paying the correct amount of money to them, because the accountant did tell us that some supers, if you don't pay them every month, then they may actually cancel your insurance, your income protection. So really read the fine lines, because that's where they try and catch you out, and they say, well, actually didn't pay the month of March, therefore we don't actually owe you anything.
Yeah, to be honest, actually, that's really good advice, because I haven't actually checked with Vic Super, so I'm going to call them up tomorrow and find out what
So
the
read
deal
the
is
T and
with that.
C's, because they could really try and just say, no, you were negligent and you didn't give us the money on that month, therefore we've cancelled your policy. So take care with the supers.
And right now we don't really know too much about supers, so we're hopefully going to be learning a bit more about it, how to manage your own personal supers. So stay tuned for a future video when we figured that out.
Yeah, or if you know anything, let us know.
Oh, that'd be really interesting. You know, we heard a lot of people that when they get their own practice, they do it for a fund or something like that. I'm not sure.
There's a wealth of knowledge out there that we're gonna try and tap into at some stage.
You know, we're almost at the end here. One of the questions that we weren't too sure about is bank accounts.
Yeah.
So with joint bank accounts, according to the fine print, if you have a joint bank account, then 50% of the money that you make in savings needs to be tax deducted. Also, it was a bit confusing as to how to manage it. Can we have a joint bank account, that kind of stuff? And he said actually, the ATO is mainly interested in the money that you make via your business in this filing, not the money you make personal. As long as your bank has your TFN number, they'll be able to report your interest rates to the ATO directly, and that will be handled in a separate stream. So stay tuned to see how that one goes back, but it was a bit of relief saying that we can have a joint bank account without an extra baggage of administration.
Definitely. And the really nice thing about having an accountant is you've got the idea to bounce off these questions, and they kind of give you that reassurance, and they give you the correct information as well. There's loads of information out on the internet which maybe isn't quite accurate, but hearing it from the horse's mouth is just gives you so much relief. It's like a weight off your shoulders, isn't it?
You got 3 years.
The top value for money.
I'd love to hear what you guys are experiencing out there. Maybe if you go to a dodgy guy, they'll get you some crazy money off, or maybe you'll get audited, you don't know.
Don't know.
All right. Final things. This is for next year, really. The biggest focus for next year is how to maximize your tax breaks, or be more efficient in your spending, because this first quarter it was a very small tax expense because you're 3 months of work. But if you've been working for a year, obviously you're going to be making hopefully a lot more money depending on how much patients you see. So that means you're going to be taxed more, which means you can spend more money to alleviate the tax, obviously spending more on business related stuff. And it's actually a good thing, you know, because the government gives you the option to either give the government money and they'll figure out ways to spend the money, or they say, rather than giving us the money, spend it on your business, grow your business, market invest it in yourself, and grow faster, which will boost the economy itself. So, really, I mean, if they, like, for example, marketing expenses, like, you would have never thought of that, doing it, unless there was some sort of, actually, you probably would have done it yourself,
you might have done, but there's an
gives you the extra boost, you know. You don't have a website out there, just make a website for it, you can claim it as a business expense. If you were thinking of doing your accounts all yourself, no, you can pay an accountant and pay it as a business expense. So it's a way of boosting the economy. It's a really good thing.
It's really good.
Okay, I mean, sorry, the last
final thing. Now, if you are like me and you've come from the UK, or you come abroad, you have to declare any property that you own from overseas, or any other income that you're getting.
Investments, so if you're a shareholder in a company, with more than 50k in investments in there, you need to declare that.
You need to declare it. So just to recap, guys, I know that hopefully this has been useful for you, but car, you get GST back. Vic, you know, your super, claim the whole thing back.
You don't claim it back, you just claim it as a deduction.
Claim the thing. Make sure you're keeping your accounts up to date, your Excel spreadsheet or whatever it is, make sure that you're getting all up to date, and go and see an accountant, even if it's just for a free consultation.
And guys, if you are not capable, if you don't have the time to do your own accounts or your own bookkeeping, it's okay. They'll still do it for you.
Yeah.
They'll just charge you a bit more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it is tedious. You're probably worthwhile investing, you're focusing your energy doing other things. So they'll still manage your case. But it's only like, it's our first time, so we're really on it.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful. If you do have any tips or anything that you've kind of come across in your own accounting kind of life, do leave us a comment down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share to spread the knowledge to other doctors.